We've got some of the leading experts, some of the leading global experts here on the stage, and we're going to share our thoughts about what the rise of mobile means and how it's changing the key creative industries fundamentally. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, starting with Paul Munford on the very right-hand side there.
I'm actually Monty Munford is mine. I was born Paul, but Monty's become a nickname. I'm an old punk. You know, I saw the Clash 10 times and all that stuff. And discovered London as a result on a motorbike when I was 17. And I'm interested in the effect that music is having globally, not just, you know, in our Spotify lists. And I write for The Economist, I write for Mashable, I write for TechCrunch, I write for Wired, I write for The Telegraph, I write for Forbes. So always looking for stories and, as Oshin says, interested in this revolution.
Thank you.
We'll just share. Okay. My name is Stephanie, and I lead the organizer product team at Eventbrite, but I also am the product manager on our mobile app Neon for organizers. So I've worked on that for about a year, and we're seeing a huge rise in mobile amongst our organizers, and it's really transforming the way that our organizers host events. So.
Hi, I'm Julian Mittelberg, co-founder of Benzin Town. We have two main products that I believe maybe most of you know. We have the largest concert discovery app in the world called Benzin Town Concerts on your mobile phone. 23 million concert goers using it. And we also have a large CRM platform for artists used by over 340,000 artists now. They use it to promote tour dates on their Facebook page, on Google, and on their website and everywhere.
And my name is Oshin Lunny. I'm the Senior Market Development Manager at Open Market, and we help global Fortune 2000 enterprises use mobile to transform their businesses. And if you'd like to find out anything more about that, visit openmarket.com or come and chat to me afterwards. So let's kick things off. I thought one of the greatest sound bites I heard on our preparation calls was the idea of crack for event organizers. Stephanie, would you care to elaborate on some crack?
Sure. So about a year ago, a little over a year ago, we launched an app called Neon, which was meant to be our mobile box office. So you can sell tickets at the door, you can check people in, you can easily see real-time stats, so you can show the fire marshal, I'm only at half capacity, I have plenty of room, so please don't shut me down. And you can also do really light customer service tasks like refunds and resending tickets. But what it has become, which is interesting, is this very habit-forming app where some of our organizers, namely the founder of Bottle Rock, which is a festival in Napa, has called the organizer crack, because he wakes up every morning, pulls to refresh, sees how much revenue has come in the night before, and then later in the day does that over and over and over again. So has really created this addicting platform for our organizers. So that's where that soundbite came from.
Excellent. So that really speaks to the power of technology in terms of improving the whole kind of live music experience.
And I mean, this data is available to our organizers on our platform, but having it on your nightstand when you wake up in the morning and having it in your pocket when you're on the go, that's where it's really transforming our organizers' experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
To speak, excuse me. Sorry. Julian, if you'd like to speak a bit about how mobile is really transforming the kind of music fan experience and also the artist experience by leveraging the whole Bands in Town back-end and infrastructure.
Yes, of course. So when we created the company, we were trying to solve a big problem, which is still a problem today, hopefully less than it was years ago, that a lot of concert goers actually, or fans, miss a show of artists they like because it was just right there and they didn't know, and it was very cumbersome to check out all the websites and blogs and actually publication to figure out when the artist would come to your town. So what we try to do is leverage all the new technology, obviously the internet, mobile, the possibility of accessing your music information through Facebook API or Twitter, Spotify, and Apple, as well as asking big venues and artists to start giving us the data. So the result is that we were able to do three things. First, be able to know what you like in terms of music by listening to your music behavior through connection and syncing with Spotify, Apple, Facebook, and the likes. Collect the largest event database in the world. So we have 1.6 million, upcoming concerts at any time in the database, and have an app that knows where you are. And based on that, we were able to create a new service where instead of having to go and check out the artist website, the venue website, you just have to wait until we tell you that your favorite band is coming in town. And I think we move from a pull consumption to push consumption, where we have not much to do. You download the app, you sync in, we collect all this data, we crunch it, and then we send you a notification and email when your artist is coming in town, immediately when the show is announced, so you have a chance to buy a ticket before it's sold out.
Excellent. Well, I personally remember buying Time Out back in the day and the NME and scouring the listings for my favourite bands, and it was very time consuming. It wasn't very accurate, but I've signed up to Band in Town a few years ago. And for instance, I know already that the Meters are doing a gig in London in September. I think that's the amazing thing, is it kind of looks at my music behaviour, my Spotify behaviour, and it tells me when all of my favorite bands are playing in places I can actually see them, and gives me enough lead time to get hold of tickets.
Exactly. And then we continued and wanted to offer more to our users. So we added another feature where we recommend shows of artists we think you're going to like. So it's really a recommendation engine. If you live in maybe a smaller town than New York or LA, you have less of your artists coming in. You still want to go out. We look at your library of things you like, and then we recommend you shows. About now, I think we're saying over 40% of our users now have been to a show of an artist they didn't know before they saw that recommendation. So a huge amount of our users are actually now buying tickets of an artist they didn't know before. So we talk a lot about discovery of music on Spotify, but we realize we can also discover artists via concerts. And the last thing we did is to add a social layer, where now we also send you notification where your friends RSVP to a show nearby. So you also have another way to discover concerts. It's just you want to go with your friends. Even if you don't know the artist, it's an opportunity to buy a ticket.
That's excellent. And so it's very much the mobile technology is really a democratizing force in terms of giving bands and fans access to each other and a way to get together. Monty, you write for The Economist and Forbes and many other kind of A-list publications about mobile disruption and mobile innovation. Do you think there are any lessons we can see from developing markets, for instance, that are, how brands are connecting with people?
Absolutely. I spent 2 years in India from 2008 to 2010. And when I was there, mobile music sales overtook traditional sales, and that was 6 years ago. And I think there's, the African market is a massive market that no one seems to have addressed. I was over at a conference in Ghana a couple of years ago, and I met this guy, he was a Londoner, he knew Ghana and all that stuff. And he told me something that's kind of resonated with me ever since. And he said, it's all right for people like you, like Whitey, to come over here and, give aid and give apps for health and apps for this, and the farmer can get his goods on time. But he said that pregnant African women need health apps. Sure, I agree. But pregnant African women also like Rihanna and like listening to music. Do you know what I mean? So that whole continent and the kind of hacking and the way that things are happening there, I think maybe the next revolution is going to come from Africa, and they're going to teach us stuff as opposed to the other way around.
Excellent. I look forward to it. That sounds good. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about Eventbrite Neon. That's a very exciting new kind of thing that's been launched recently, right?
RFID.
So I beg your pardon?
RFID.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah, if you talk about the RFID, that would be great. Thank you. And the NFC.
Yeah, so we recently launched an NFC product. So we last weekend actually had our first paid event on it. So that means that attendees can actually get into the venue using an RFID wristband on their hands, and then there's portals that they just tap their wrist on to get into the venue. So we had over 200,000 successful scans over the course of a 3-day weekend. We had 100% uptime, which is incredible. We had the internet go in and out a couple times, so the product itself actually will continue to let people in and out of the venue, even though it's offline, and then when it comes back online, it syncs all of that data back up so that the analytics are accurate. And we really think that this will transform the attendee experience on site as well, so that you could imagine in the future you don't necessarily have to have a wristband, but maybe it's your phone, and that's how you pay for all of your merchandise on site, all of your beer and wine. So we actually think that this will go from all the way from the organizer transforming the attendee experience in the years to come.
Wonderful. And also, as part of your Neon kind of product line, you also supply physical equipment to events, venues. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so it depends on the size of the event, but typically a normal festival would have a box office, which would have a couple of iPads set up. So we have a reader that just fits into the bottom of an iPad, and you can actually just take credit cards there. And we also have the ability to print to a Bokeh printer, so that's hard stock ticket printing. You can also connect to a star printer, which is just the thermal receipt printing that's a little bit more lightweight than a big Bokeh printer. And then in the lanes where you're actually checking people in, the same app, Neon, uses the camera on the phone to be able to scan barcodes. And with this new product for RFID, there's actually a sled that we would put that in where it can actually read the RFID bracelets as well. So those are typically the kind of the equipment we deploy on site. We do have some more permanent venues that have a little bit hardier card readers, but you no longer have to pay $1,000 for a point of sale system. You can just go get an iPad. We integrate with a cash drawer, we integrate with a receipt printer, and under about $500, you could have a point of sale up and running.
Fantastic. And just to open up the discussion a little bit around personalization, because we're collecting a lot of data about people, particularly with mobile app and mobile device interaction with RFID, wristbands, etc. Would anyone like to talk about the importance of personalization and what this kind of how this changes the media, the model of media and advertising? Perhaps, Stefan, if you'd like to speak about that. Julian, sorry.
Yes. First, I think that users, the consumers are more and more expecting that you can deliver them a personalized experience. They have less and less patience for inefficient services and applications. They have the choice of many of them, so there is a pressure to be able to get there. But I think we can. We companies like us or like you guys, collect a vast amount of data, and if we do a good job, we can figure out a way to improve the experience. The benefit of that on our side is we can also turn that into a monetization opportunity. For instance, on Bands in Town, about a year and a half ago, we launched a new program for promoters and venues where they can now target exactly, concertgoers to promote a specific show. So say, Muse is coming to Austin, and you're the venue and you want to target all the concertgoers tracking that band in Bands in Town. You can say, I want everybody in a 25-mile radius, and I want to be able to send them a dedicated email to promote the show. You can do that now. So we'll be the platform where it's self-serve. You go, you choose how many of these concertgoers you want to reach out. You can also reach out concertgoers that like similar artists and increase your potential pool of people that you want to address, and then you dedicate an email, and our users receive the email. Usually they are fans of the artist, so they're very happy. Even though it's advertising, it's actually a service we give to them, and it works very well, and they buy tickets.
I think, as a former CEO of Tesco said, we live in an era of mass personalization, and that's nowhere more apparent with kind of mobile advertising. I think people are very turned off by blanket kind of broadcast advertising. There's a huge rise in ad blocking. So, our mobile devices are really such personal devices. We go to sleep beside them, we wake up, we check them the first thing in the morning. So the old models of media and broadcast advertising don't really work. So I think, services like Bands in Town, Eventbrite really kind of nail it in terms of personalized experiences, and then kind of the full kind of before, during, and after around the live events. Monty, tell us, have you had any experiences of interacting with live event service organisers, and has it been personalised? Has it been good? Has it been bad?
The thing is, right, I think that the consumer or the customer now expects it to be perfect, right? If it's a mobile 5 years ago, maybe you put up with it. I'll give you an example. About 10 years ago, I was approached to become the biz dev director for a new company called Sxsw, right? And that to me sounded nice. CEO was nice and all that stuff. But I fucking hate scalpers and touts and this whole broken business of buying tickets. It just does my head in. I don't want to pay a booking fee for having a conversation with somebody. So to my shame, there was a band called Young Fathers playing in Brighton where I lived. I ordered 4 tickets from Seatwave. 2 mates came down from London, big night out. Tuesday, no tickets. Wednesday, no tickets. Friday, day of gig, no tickets. Called them up and everything. Oh, sorry, obviously the seller decided not to sell them. I mean, what type of service is that, So I put something out on Twitter, and someone said you should try this company called Twickets. where fans sell their tickets at face value. You know, there's no markup. It's like, I'm selling you my ticket to see the Clash or whatever. And it was brilliant. Gave me his mobile number. I gave him my mobile number. I met him outside the gig. He gave me a tenner. I gave him a tenner. Got the ticket. Bought his mates a drink. Saw the gig. Absolutely fantastic. Young fathers. Fantastic game. Seatwave afterwards, finding out that I write about music and all that. Obviously, tried to kind of placate me. And said, "Oh, we're sorry about the experience. We'll give you a £200 voucher to go, use Seatwave again." And I just said, "Fuck off! I never want to see you again. I don't want to talk about you. I don't want to hear about you. I'm not even going to shame you." You know what I mean? And it's that type of thing. There are apps. I mean, Twickets is amazing, right? I don't know how scalable it is, but it's just nice. It's nice and it's friendly and it's kind. And I'm talking about them now. Seatwave I despise, So the user experience on the mobile, swipe, press, that's all got to be perfect, And I think that's a good thing because it's led by the customer, it's led by the fan. It's not led by the music industry, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I feel quite strongly about it.
That's a really good point. Thank you. And speaking about the importance of a good customer experience on mobile, I think the trend is towards zero tolerance for a bad customer experience. 4 years ago, around about 59% of people who interacted with brands would never do business with them again if they had a bad experience. And in recent years, I think last year that was up to 89%. So the trend is towards zero tolerance for a bad customer experience. So, and I think this is driven by the superb CX expectations that people should and can have on a mobile device because they are such ubiquitous and brilliant devices to work with. Tell us a bit about how you kind of have used things like big data, artificial intelligence to optimize the user experience with bands in town, Julian.
Yes. So we did a few things. Actually, the first thing we did to collect better data is to build a platform for artists, what we call Benzita Manager. This is the platform used by over 340,000 artists, including the top 80 artists in the US. So it's like all the big artists as well as long tail. And what we do is we, the do-it-yourself trend has exploded in the past 5-6 years. Artists reach now they control most of their reach with Facebook and their website and their social network. So we built a tool for them to be able to display quickly all the tour dates on their social network and on the website and then on Google and everywhere. So now we go on Benzita. As an artist, you connect. We already have most of your dates. That's how we use big data to collect all those events. You just have to edit them, validate them, and then you push them everywhere. That's really how we do it for artists, and that's probably why they use Benzita first. On the consumer side, after using this data, what we did is we built this recommendation engine to be able to show you shows of similar artists, and that dramatically increased, I think, the quality of the service, because even if you live in an area where you don't have a lot of artists coming up, we are still able to suggest you artists that you don't know about, but we think you're like. If we have your profile and you travel a lot, you go in any cities in the US or actually abroad with the same music profile you have, we are able to recommend you local shows, whether Paris, in London, or any cities in the US. And that I think helped a lot the experience.
For sure. And Stephanie, tell us a bit about our Eventbrite kind of opening up into APIs into other companies, and how do you cooperate with other tech companies to improve the user experience?
Yeah, so we actually have a very extensive API that we use with several partners. So we always kind of joke internally, we're never going to out-email MailChimp. If someone wants to really have robust campaign management, they're going to use an email campaign platform for that. So our API is completely open to be able to pull your shows in, pull all of the shows that are on your account, and then be able to customize that newsletter before you send it out to your audience. We also have our own internal newsletter that we send out to our Eventbrite attendees, and so that uses big data to determine what events and what other shows people have gone to that are like you, and then we recommend those. And then we also have a third notification, which is a social notification. So if you've connected your Facebook account and 2 of your friends buy a ticket to an event, you'll get a notification about that event. And we see extremely, like 10x higher conversion rates on those types of notifications. We do think that that's how people really find events, is through their friends. So we see a lot of engagement with that particular notification.
Yeah, very good. I'd just like to ask the audience at this stage, would anyone like to ask a question? Any questions for our panelists? We're giving out candy in return. I know it's early, but feel free to shout if you have a question. Okay, we'll give out some candy. Yes, we have a question from the gentleman over there.
Yes. What algorithm or process do you use for recommendation? Like, what's your sort of recommendation scheme? How do you decide?
We have a system that tries to create a base of similar artists. We use. Yeah, that's why you did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, and you get a tweet if you tweet with the hashtag as well. So these people.
What we do is we look at basically everything our users now. With 23 million, the more people we have, the more relevant it becomes, right? So we look at everything you listen to, how many times you listen to it, the last time you listened to it, and other artists that you listen to the same genre across all our users. We look at shows you RSVP to or you share with your friends, and based on that, we create basically a list of similar artists per artist.
So it's kind of social.
Yeah, if you want. It's been on social, but also on music listening behavior, because we get, when you sync with your iTunes or Apple Music or your Spotify or Pandora, we get information that we can use to figure out exactly what, exactly, I don't know, but it's similar artists. And then we have a rank from 1 to 100. So the closer you are to the artist, you're closer as another artist, you're similar, and then less and less. And if you look at Bands in Town, the app, and when you open it, you have what we call the concert cloud, and you can decide to have more or less recommended shows, and you see the list changing in real time. That's closer or further from your list of artists, and you can decide. If you're in New York, you probably want to have not too many recommended shows because it's huge, right? But maybe if you are in Kansas City, then you want to have more because you don't have a lot of opportunities or less opportunities.
Any more questions from the audience at this stage? Yes, gentlemen in the...
You mentioned it.
Yes, it does. It does. Although you have to reach a certain size to be, I think, pulled into the algorithm. If you're too small, we don't know who you are yet, really, if we don't have enough. So the way it works is we ask artists to increase their trackers in Bands in Town, which a lot of them are doing now. We grow by about 700,000 new users a month, completely organic. And the way it works is basically artists suggest their fans to track them on Bands in Town to never miss a show. And as they do that and they grow, then we start to pull them into this recommendation engine. And then, yes, I believe, that starts to help. And the bigger you get, the faster you grow, then the faster you move up, the algorithm. There's also the speed of change that it works for us. As fast you grow in terms of trackers, and we move you into that system.
Any more questions from the audience at this stage?
I've got a question for you, Oshin.
Yes, mate.
What do you think the legacy and the importance and the influence of MySpace was?
Well, from a personal perspective, my cousin Mike Slott, who's a fantastic musician and DJ and very much ahead of the curve technologically, sent me a MySpace friend request back, I think it was 2004, 2005, pretty early days. And having been in the music industry myself as an artist for, about 15 years beforehand, when I came across MySpace, I thought, wow, it is actually almost impossible not to publish your own music and not to share it online. And this is the reason that I personally moved from the music industry to moving over into tech, was because I was, frustrated with record labels being a little bit bureaucratic, being quite difficult to get stuff playlisted, etc. So that's, I got really excited about the internet and seeing the ease of self-publishing on MySpace. I thought this is the beginning of a very significant revolution in how people can publish their own music and connect with other people. And that was really my first experience, I suppose, of a social network in that way. So I think it was immensely powerful at the time. So, it had its time, it came and went. It's a really interesting question. Yeah, but I think Facebook and the way that Facebook analyzes user data to provide this kind of mass personalized experience, I think is very relevant. It'd be great to hear what you all think about the importance of is there a thin line between cool and creepy in terms of giving away too much personal data, or do we think people are generally okay with giving away data in return for high personalization?
Well, first I think that, MySpace was fantastic and they basically got eaten by Facebook. It's not like there was nothing, they died and there was nothing to replace. They just were, there was a better platform for artists than MySpace called Facebook, for pretty much everybody else as well. Now, the challenge with Facebook now is that as an artist, you may have, 100,000, 2 million, 50 million, likes. And you know that when you message your fans on Facebook, you barely reach 4 to 6% of those fans, because Facebook has to limit the number of messages that reach you, one of many posting to the fan feed, and therefore they have to naturally limit those messages. But it's very frustrating for artists that basically moved all their strategy for 6 years on Facebook and grow the Facebook account, and now I only can reach 6%. If I want to reach 15%, I have to buy basically the rest on Facebook. So I think that as Facebook grow outside of just person, celebrity and artist pages, that's what happened. So what we're trying to do now is to give artists a way to reach out to their trackers. So we think we reach a point where we should allow this communication channel between fans and artists and trackers, concert goers. The more so as live music has become the main revenue stream of artists, but 80 to 90% of the artist revenue now is live music and not recorded music, as we know. So we just announced actually for Sxsw last week that we launched a new feature where we now allow artists to reach out to all their trackers and bands in town. Those people that buy tickets that generate most of their revenues, artists can now actually directly reach out to them without going through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. So we hope that we can help artists, contribute, to helping artists reaching out to those people better and sell more tickets.
Great. Stephanie, I wanted to ask you a little bit, as a product manager at Eventbrite, mobile product manager, how have you had to adapt your design processes, or if you have, in order to meet the expectations of a mobile user experience? How is designing for mobile different? What advantages does it give to your product, and what can other industries learn from your experience at Eventbrite? Yeah,
so designing for Neon was really interesting because we were building B2B software, but we were having the level of refinement of a consumer brand. So when we actually give Neon to a group of volunteers, it's not this really robust platform that they have to figure out. It's very easy. Mobile is a little different when you design for it because you can't launch and iterate very easily. You can on web. You typically, all of our web product managers will launch what we call an MVP and then slowly iterate that based on user feedback. You also want to get something in market quickly so you can learn how people are using it. But with mobile, especially with iOS, you can't do that. So you have typically about a week window where you've submitted an app and you have to wait for Apple to approve it. So if there's no launching and iterating. There's you need it perfect from the get-go, from the time you launch it. From a product manager's perspective, that's great because what you're launching, you're really typically very proud of, and it looks really good, and it's pixel perfect, and you've spent a lot of time with engineers making it look so. From the customer support standpoint, it's a little harder because then when you do have a bug, it's at least a couple days if you do find a very bad bug for Apple to approve it. On the Android platform, however, you can actually roll it out to a small set of users and test and see what's working, what's not, and if it's not working, pull that release back, and then slowly just roll it out to your entire user base. So the two platforms are a little bit different. In terms of the real estate on a mobile device, obviously on mobile you're very limited. So with Neon, the dashboard is not a replication of everything you have on the web. It's the one on the web is probably 2 scrolls worth of data. It has your last 10 orders, it has your page views, it has your sales for that event, it has the invites that were opened, how many of them were converted. On Neon, it really is those numbers that are very, very important to you in that moment, especially as you start your event and you're checking people in. Having live check-in counts of who's in the event is really important. So, and that's what I think caused that kind of addicting term, is that the data that's most important is front and center. So you don't have to wade through pages and pages to find that data that you're interested in.
And with 90% of artist revenues coming from live music today, we've kind of mentioned about the power of social networks, the power of Facebook, etc., but also that the organic reach of those platforms can be limited, it can be throttled. How do you kind of work around that? How do you balance maintaining your own community with accessing the large social networks effectively? Is this a kind of an ever-changing kind of dance, or is there a kind of clear ways to kind of protect your own community as well as reaching out via social? Open question.
Yeah, I think I don't think that there's any ecosystem that would be successful without communicating with others. Like on even Facebook. The success of Facebook was early on to open to everybody else. With Facebook apps and APIs, and then allowing Facebook logging it pretty much on every other properties. We use Facebook Connect. About 70% of our users have connected through Facebook. That's how we get all the likes and also personalize the experience. So I think you have to connect. Vice versa, on the our users, when they RSVP through Bands in Town, they want to tell their friends on Bands in Town, but they also want to tell their friends on Facebook. So we have to connect and make sure we do the same on Facebook. And artists, when they use our platform, they expect us to post everywhere. So post on, just announce this concert on Facebook, on Twitter, on, everywhere we can. And when we cannot, then they're frustrated. Like, why can't you post on Instagram? Well, because you cannot link to a ticket. Still, I want to have my picture with my tour date on Instagram. So we have to figure this out. But I think you have to connect with, and the one part of the success will be to be able to work very well with those other services, I think.
Have we any more questions from the audience at this stage? There was somebody submitted one via the Glisser app, but I can't actually understand it. If you'd like to call it out or submit it again, it's about I think the question is about what will happen after mobile devices. Are we going to move to wearables, and what will happen to the whole mobile interface after that? I'm not sure. Would anyone like to comment on that?
Well, I think the one thing we haven't mentioned is the radio.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we went to see that band on Monday. What a Sweet Spirit.
Oh, Sweet Spirit. Excellent.
Amazing, right? Really amazing. So the first thing that I did to find out about them was to go to YouTube, right? Like most people do, and then turn on an Austin radio station because they were local and all that. But I've started to use my phone as a radio. I never used to do it. There was never the bandwidth. And I think with wearables such as that, it will be a kind of ghetto blaster that is kind of, formed on your wrist, and at some stage it'll probably be under your skin. And I think that's the way it will work. Everything will just become miniature, But the content will remain the same, and the platform players may change. But radio is still a great thing. It's still a great business model. It makes money out of ads, And that's what would be my prediction. The radio is going to be everywhere.
Excellent. A rebirth of radio via mobile devices.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
You look at Dylan. Dylan's such an amazing artist because he listens to radio stations during the night.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better in the world than to drive across America listening to the radio.
And speaking of which, you're going to do that immediately after the panel, I believe.
I'm going to the Crossroads, baby. I'm going to Clarksdale, Mississippi, to see some old journo that someone just introduced me, and I'm going to go and see where I'm going to be at. And then off after that. Probably end up in New Orleans, as most tourists do.
Fantastic. That sounds like a very good plan. Any more questions from the audience at this stage? We have bags of candy here waiting to be given out. Yes, sir.
Yes, it's a good question. We actually, a while ago, decided, we thought that, we wanted to focus on discovery, that ticketing is another world. I mean, I don't know, how many employees are you now, if I'm right? How many employees are you? 500. 500 people, just focusing on on ticketing, maybe a little more at Ticketmaster. So I think it's different. If you make that choice, then you start to compete with all our partners. The way we actually collect information around the world is we work with all the ticketing companies and we get the data before everybody else, and that's how we are able to help artists, push those tour dates and also notify our users. So it's not the plan. I mean, we still have a lot to do on the concert discovery side. I think we have a lot to do also on the consumer experience. Today, when you receive this notification from Benzintown, you open the app, and then you want to buy a ticket. You leave the app to go to a mobile web flow on Eventbrite or Ticketmaster to buy your tickets. I believe that better integration with us and those players will allow to better transformation and conversion. If you just receive a notification and you click buy and you buy because you already have your credit card, we probably convert better. Actually, we tried with a small ticketing company. We convert 5 times better. So next step for us is more, trying to become the Fandango of ticketing, where even if you buy your ticket on Eventbrite or Ticketmaster, you stay in the app, you just buy. We have your card. Actually, you receive notification on your watch. You say buy and you buy your ticket. If we can do that, then I think we can definitely help the industry. So we'll focus on that.
Great point. Thank you. Good question. Any more questions at this stage? Yes, sir.
It's a good point. I actually, it's by going to this festival, and you start to receive notification. You should go there. You should go there. We had a year ago. We had this idea of, hey, what if we allow artists to notify by on mobile their fans during the show or after the show? And not everybody is. Very few artists have their own app, right? Pretty much no. I mean, the top 50, I guess. Otherwise, they don't have application. Therefore, those artists cannot send notification. So
is that really true? Only 50 artists?
I mean, it's very small. Not because the app is expensive. You have to be, always updating it. It's costly, and for what? They basically push the same content on Facebook and on YouTube and Instagram. So what's the point? I think that's the issue. So what we did, exactly for that reason, is we built a system where if for all the users that have Benzintown at the festivals, each band can actually message directly their fans to tell them, hey, I'm stage 5, or don't forget to buy my merch, or hey, I'm 1 hour late. So we're building up that feature to allow artists actually to communicate directly during the show with their fans. But I think it's more and more, those apps are better and better. People expect to have something, they all filming and shooting pictures, that's what you all see at concerts. I'm sure this device will become more and more interactive and will be part of the experience.
Yeah, so a lot of the festivals on Eventbrite do have their own apps, but it's actually through a third party that creates these apps. So if you've gone to a couple festivals, you'll notice some similarities in the interaction. That's not cheap to do, so you actually have to, have this third party build an app for you. So we want to democratize that. So if you could upload a lineup, upload a schedule, it'd be pretty easy to actually, within Eventbrite app, tell attendees when they should go to Salon A for the so-and-so tech talk, or go to Stage Beef to go see the artist play. It's really, our top, maybe 1% of festivals would even have their own app. All the rest are not going to spend that kind of money to develop their own, customized, bespoke app.
We've just had a great question from Eamon Carey in the front row via Twitter, and he asked the panel, is the future of direct-to-fan comms and commerce going to be delivered via some sort of a chat-esque interface? So personalized messaging.
I'd say yes. I think the thing that I've found at this show, everyone's got their different thing, but it seems to be all about Snapchat and what Snapchat can do. And all the other chat networks, such as Poweringo, will concentrate on games. Others will concentrate on music. And you've got Line in Japan, and you've got Kakao Talk, and you've got WeChat and all that. These are the platforms of the future, right? There's no doubt. And the ones that get in there quickly and start to use that platform as a way to integrate with fans and with labels, if they still exist. I absolutely agree, 100%.
And just speaking to generation, so I have a 16-year-old daughter. She hates Facebook, hates it. I hate Facebook too, but I feel like I'm an old fart. She hates it. And as to her friends, Snapchat is what they use 100%. So I think small, micro social interactions are the future of social.
Yeah, I think that the whole I think game for e-commerce companies to be the closest possible to where the interaction starts, instead of having this long flow and then you lose 70% of your potential buyers. So if people mostly use messaging apps, that's where they're going to expect the transaction to happen, like it does now. I think in Asia, in China, or in Japan, you can order everything through your messaging app.
Well, I'll reiterate what you said. My son's nearly 13, and I said, do you want a Facebook page when you're 13? He said, no. He says the only time he ever uses text messaging is when he texts me or his mother. They don't care about it. We talk about delivery platforms and music and radio and all that stuff, but I'm older than you, three beautifully young people, but it's a generational thing. It's like music's a generational thing in the drugs that you take. The 60s, everyone smoked weed, well, grass, what's this word, weed? I know nothing of it, And then it kind of, then it was kind of coke in the 70s, and then it was, E in the 90s and all that. I mean, we should watch out for the drugs as well. The drugs could change the music industry completely. The next one,
But at Open Market, we do a lot of work with kind of major enterprises in terms of messaging, and what we're seeing is there is a bit of app fatigue. So a lot of retailers, for instance, if they want to reach out to consumers, they can overestimate the value of them as a brand having real estate on a smartphone's kind of homepage. I think the average number of apps installed per American per month is 0, according to Comscore, that did a survey last year. So, not every brand or, venue or whatever that everyone interacts with will have a brand real estate on somebody's homepage. So, the value of bands in town and Eventbrite actually aggregating all of these feeds is absolutely invaluable. And, coming back to the point about messaging, we're seeing a lot of very interesting ways for people to interact with brands just using mobile messaging. So typically very personalized SMS messages or again, in-app notifications. So yeah, I think it is very much the kind of direct conversation is going to, arrive via messaging in the future, which is really interesting.
Or maybe it's post-app.
Indeed.
I didn't realise what you were saying about how expensive it is to set up a festival app or a band app. I mean, presumably it's a lot cheaper to do that on Instagram and Snapchat, and these are, maybe it's the end of the app.
Yep. We haven't talked about mobile web, which is a huge piece of Eventbrite's ecosystem. So I work on our apps, but mobile web, we've just updated our mobile listing and our purchase flow to have more rich content, feel a little bit smoother for users. For low frequency e-commerce, people aren't going to go download an app if they buy from Best Buy once a year. They're going to use Best Buy's mobile app, mobile web flow. So mobile web is a huge piece of the ecosystem at Eventbrite.
Yeah. So the post-app future could be mobile web plus mobile messaging. That's a very interesting point. Yeah. Any more questions from the audience at this stage? Been some excellent questions so far. I've got a question for the panel. In terms of scalability, Eventbrite help, its model is very scalable in terms of number of venues, number of, tickets and all the rest. How has mobile tech helped with scalability, and what kind of advantages does it bring? How do you leverage mobile for that scalability?
Yeah, so I'll use an anecdote from last year. We recently ticketed a fandom event called Anime Expo. And last year was the first year that they were on Eventbrite. The year before, I won't name the ticketing provider, they had folks waiting anywhere from 8 to 10 hours in line waiting for their badge pickup. So this year, it was dubbed LineCon on Twitter because it was so miserable for the attendees who were waiting on the sidewalk of the LA Convention Center for 8 hours. So this year, they actually set up the badge pickup to be 24 hours to accommodate the what they anticipated as a huge influx of attendees again. And we have a product or a feature in Neon where you can actually scan the barcode, so the attendee's barcode, and then scan their badge, and it kind of binds those two together. It's called secondary barcode assignment, which sounds super boring, but you can also do that with RFID. So you could, the barcode that's on your badge, basically you scan your ticket, scan the barcode, and you're on your way. So this year, the lines were, at the max peak time were about half an hour. And so that, even though we're building tools for organizers, that translates all the way down into the attendee experience. And I actually got a few snapshots that I'll tweet after the talk of people on Twitter just saying, thank you so much. This year was so much better. Last year was miserable. So it's really, for them, it's their brand recognition in the market. They're making their attendees happy by using the technology that is more scalable for their event.
And speaking of social feedback, what kind of feedback do you get from Bands in Town users on social media, or how do you kind of how do you analyze that? How do you leverage that?
Well, it's quite rewarding, because if we manage to send you to a show that you would have missed without us, and this show happens to be amazing, then I think the love for the brand is great. We get really, really good feedback. Now we also get people that were expecting us, or a show that happened that we didn't get in that base, and then we get insulted because we get people are very upset because we didn't tell them the show was coming. So the challenge is, once you get used, people expect you to be 100%.
Yeah.
If we miss a date, and we have 1.6 million dates per year, to miss one that you would have liked, then it's an issue. But otherwise, if you get at least 1 or 2 amazing experiences per year because of us, I think that's what we try to do.
Absolutely. And you're managing how many millions of Bands in Town users now?
So we have 23 million people that have installed the app. And on the other hand, about more than 300,000 artists that have installed their app, so they're part of the ecosystem. And we are worldwide, even though still about 60% US. The app is in English, but we just recently localized it in Spanish, so it's starting to be more local, starting with language. How many languages do you support?
11.
See, we have some work to do.
We learned with internationalization that it's not just translating a site. Yeah. Every market has their own, especially in the payment space, and that's been, over the last few years, a eye-opening experience integrating with all of the international payment providers that are needed.
Right. And tell us a bit, you've done some work with Apple and Nordstrom, is that right? You mentioned thinking outside of the box office. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
great.
Actually, the person who coined that term is here. So I'll use an example. We were at an event last spring-ish, and so Neon, it no longer is something that you have to be behind the walls of the box office, where you're behind this huge terminal helping users. We had the box office get a big rush of people, and something went down, and we wanted to actually help the line move a little bit faster. So one of our employees grabbed a Neon device, actually went out in the lines and started actually scanning people's tickets and putting their wristband on right there and saying, all right, you're good to go, and just worked her way down the line until that line was almost completely eliminated. So it's a way to actually be really, really mobile, and especially with the devices being just iPhones or iPod touches, you can have a surplus of them at the box office, so that if you do have that rush, it's all hands on deck. I'll use another example. At Snow Globe this year, which is a music festival in Tahoe, we had a big rush on the box office, and there were some Eventbrite employees there for fun, not actually to work. And someone came back and said, all hands on deck. Everyone out there started handing out wristbands, and a couple of people were like, I don't know how to do this. And then the person said, you know what? You just scan the barcode, scan the wristband, hand them the wristband. That's it. And so we were able to get through that line much faster than if we would have had to been able to wait for everybody to come to us.
And I think, again, that's a customer experience thing, isn't it? If you go into a supermarket and there's 10 people in the line, the bell goes, and then someone else comes from the box office after having a cigarette or a tea break or whatever, and bang, bang, bang. We're used to that type of thing. But it's still really good, that. I love that.
Yeah, so the Apple Nordstrom example was that if you go to Nordstrom now, you don't have to wait in the till line anymore. You just go find someone in a shirt and say, I want to buy this thing, and they can check you out right there, and you can walk out of the store.
Great. Thank you. We have a question from the gentleman in the striped T-shirt.
So you guys are talking a lot about the side of organizing events, finding the opportunity, doing the different things there, and the artists needing to do this. But old line and new line artists kind of reacting to this? So they're welcoming it, or are they more like, oh crap, this is another thing that's happening?
Great question.
First, you have, I think for us, two categories of artists, the DIY artist, and then the artists that made it to a point that they have a manager and you don't deal with the artist anymore and they don't really manage their, digital social life. That's done by someone else. So when you reach that point, usually you have someone, either the manager or intern or actually a dedicated person that just manages the whole digital space, and that's their job, and therefore they have time to do it, and they do a pretty good job, most of them. But that's, I don't know, 3% of our artist base, 4%. Most of them are DIY, and they have to do everything. Not only reaching out to fans, pushing their dates, dealing with the booking the whole route for the tour. So they don't have much time. So similar to what you've done with with Neon to help organizers go faster, we built an app for artists on the go, so they can actually manage a bunch of our features from their mobile phone. In particular, when they want to announce the show on their Facebook page and everywhere, they just can do it, create it and do it from the phone. When they change a time, that goes to everybody. When they want to message people who are RSVP to a show, they can do it from an app. So we built an app just for that, indeed. So that, it's not cumbersome. They don't have a PC, they don't have to stop. They can just do it from the van.
Yeah, and I can speak to how organizers have adopted mobile. So in general, when they're creating events, they still, something's happening like really great next door, sorry. They still want to sit down behind a desktop. It's kind of like if you're building a keynote presentation, you're not going to do it from your mobile device. But doing things like editing event information, adding ticket types, hiding ticket types, even updating the location, especially, the features that we provide on site were ones that they've always needed on site, checking in people and selling tickets at the door. But we are seeing that shift to mobile. We are seeing the desire to have that really, really pertinent information in their pockets.
Yep, great questions. A question, yes, sir, with a hand up there.
Hi, thanks guys. In the last couple months, have any of you played with a mobile app or maybe had a mobile app experience from a company that's not you and you were like, holy shit, wow, that's amazing?
For me, Twicket's fantastic. If it can scale, Twicket's is amazing, because I'm selling you a ticket for the price that you paid the ticket. Perfect, transparent, amazing. I think they're amazing.
Would anyone else like to comment?
Checking.
Very good, very good.
I've played around with some discovery apps that are pretty good. A lot of them are really hyper-personalized in certain cities, so they're not available in Austin. But Fever is one that was really hyper-personalized in New York, and it had a lot of engagement with attendees. So their model is you have to log in with Facebook, so they have your profile photo. So you can see that this event page actually has 10 people going to it, rather than a lot of the event pages we have on our site. It seems very static. You don't see all the people that are actually going if all of your friends haven't connected on Facebook. So that was a mobile discovery app that I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I have this app called Vivino. Like wine. So for those who like, you buy a nice bottle of wine, or you actually at a party, or you go to restaurants and you like this wine, and then sometimes I write it and I forget about it and never find it again. So this app, you just have to scan the bottle, and then you recognize automatically, what it is. Put it in the app, and you can basically have your bookmarks of wine. You can exchange that with your friends. They rank the wine. You can buy the wine online. So I thought it was a clever idea. That's my latest.
My favorite app at the moment is Duolingo, because I'm trying to learn Swedish and Spanish at the same time, which is maybe a bit crazy, but it's a challenge. And I like the reminders and email notifications, etc. So yeah, great question. Any more questions from the audience? We have some Cocomel's chocolate milk caramels, non-GMO, gluten-free, made without dairy. Okay.
Yeah, and I've... No, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the answer, right? So, as I said, I went on the Discovery, I went to YouTube. They're pretty wacky, you know, in a laundrette somewhere. And the horn section that we disagreed on weren't there either, you know what I mean? And then I couldn't really find anything, you know what I mean? Anything. So then I feel as if it's my job to get people to know them, right? And I have a pretty good social footprint, and I write for all these magazines, and, you know, allegedly, if I say something, people might listen. I have not, you know, so supposedly. But the one thing that I do know is that if I share it on Facebook, or if you get an average of 50 likes or maybe 100 likes if you're kind of Facebooking from here or on my blog, you know, no one really likes or looks at the music I post on Facebook. It really surprises me, you know what I mean? Because I would have thought, you know, at least 30% of those people on Facebook are my actual mates, you know what I mean, apart from contacts and all that. So I don't know, I mean, it's like word of mouth, isn't it? We're talking about it, Ocean's talking about it, maybe some of these people may try and find them, you know, maybe they'll be on the radio tonight or whatever. But it's a great question, because I don't know how you do it, you know, as a fanboy or anything like that. I don't know. Osh, you got any ideas?
In terms of how to spread the word about new music? Or? Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, I think social media is just fantastic. If I see a good gig, I'll check in on Swarm, and I'll talk about it on Facebook, on Twitter. I'll try and find their ID and use a hashtag if they have one. I'm also slightly addicted to making mixtapes, as Monty knows. I send them out every once in a blue moon, maybe every 6 months, and that's just all the cool new music I like. I'll compile it, make a mix, stick it on Mixcloud. And then also, I think the new Spotify homepage is absolutely phenomenal. I love how they curate music, and I love how they present new music
Discover Weekly?
The whole discovery angle is fantastic. And they have some great people working for them, like Rob Fitzpatrick, who used to be the editor of The Word magazine in the UK, a real music expert. And you know, they have great people just compiling this whole kind of curated music discovery path. So, you know, I as somebody with thousands of vinyl records, and I used to DJ and collect records and do the, have boxes of tapes and all the rest. So much of my music discovery now, it's via Spotify, and it's via social recommendations. So I've never, it's an exciting time to be a music lover, I think, which may bring us neatly on to close the panel. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. I'd like to say thank you, and please show your appreciation for our amazing panelists, Julian, Monty, and Stephanie.
Thank you.